writer and activist Soraya Chimley stated that 6,614 U.S. troops were killed in Afghanistan and Iraq. In the same period, 11,766 women were killed as a result of domestic violence. It is commonly known that women are victimized the most, but men are also frequently abused. A 2010 summary report says that the most common age when intimate partner violence is first experienced by both women and men is ages 18 to 24. Domestic violence is an ongoing tragedy all over the world. Many of my close friends, family members, and I myself even have gone through domestic violence situations. I'm going to talk to you all about the different kinds of domestic violence, who it affects, why it happens, the signs to look for, and how we can stand up and help each other. Domestic violence is any behavior that has a purpose of gaining power and control over a spouse, partner, or family member. There are many different kinds of domestic violence. Physical abuse is the most recognizable abuse. It's any physical, aggressive behavior, withholding of physical needs, indirect physically harmful behavior, or threats of physical abuse. According to Psychology Today, a woman is assaulted or beaten every 9 seconds. Sexual abuse is undesired sexual behavior by one person upon another. Sexual abuse may involve verbal and physical behavior. Emotional abuse consists of the abuser insulting, humiliating, bullying, and criticizing the victim, which results in the destruction of the victim's self-worth and confidence. And it's also the most common form of domestic violence. Child abuse is when a child is abused either physically, emotionally, verbally, or sexually. I have lots of sad memories. All of them involve my dad. I didn't feel very safe. Dad did lots of things that scared me. He would punch holes in walls and once kicked my brother's door off the hinges because he wouldn't let him into his bedroom. These are the real words that came from this 6-year-old boy named JB, who grew up watching his father abuse his mother, brother, and himself. Young adults are also in the midst of domestic violence quite often. Violence in teen dating has the same effects on teens as child abuse does on children. Teens in abusive relationships are more likely to do poorly in school, abuse drugs and alcohol, and attempt suicide. The facts show that loveisrespect.org says that college students like us are not equipped to deal with dating abuse. 57% say that it is difficult to identify, and 58% say they don't know how to help someone who's experiencing it. We've gone over who is affected by domestic violence, but why does it even happen in the first place? A lot of people believe abuse stems from things like mental illness, anger problems, and drug and alcohol addiction, but it doesn't. Abuse is a learned behavior. The main objective of an abuser is to gain power and control over their victim. In relationships, an abuser can control their partner by telling them where they can and can't go, how much money they can spend, and who they can and can't hang out with. Now that we know why it happens, let's look at the signs to look for. Just because someone is smiling all the time and seems to have it all together doesn't mean they aren't dealing with serious internal battles, such as domestic violence. A few physical signs to look for in others that you may think are experiencing abuse are bruises on their arms, neck, or chest, black eyes, or busted lips. Victims tend to act withdrawn and isolate themselves from others. Now you might be thinking, how can I help? The first step is to know the signs. You need to educate yourself about the subject as much as you can, and then educate people around you in your community. And don't forget to support the victims. Be the person that they can call and rely on. The National Domestic Violence Hotline is the only 24/7-hour hotline center in the nation that provides support and shelters across the United States. And this is the National Domestic Violence Hotline number. We have now learned how important it is to be aware of domestic violence and the signs to look for in others. We must stand up together and fight this epidemic. I'm now going to pass out some information that I picked up from the local family services shelter here in Winston-Salem. I hope if you or someone you know is or may be going through domestic violence, which they are, that you call them or call this hotline. Thank you.